season for City United is from Argentina.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, he's a good
From
player.
in Argentina, in which club he played? Do you know?
I don't know where, but he played for my U.S. team. He was playing in college at Bethany last year, and then he joined our team for this past season. But
Okay,
I actually scouted him for last season too. He's a great player, very good
okay.
player. Yeah, you have a
Yes,
few good players, muy bueno in Argentina. You got a few good ones, to
yes.
say the
We have
least.
very good players, and the central back are very strong here in
Yeah,
Argentina. We have
yeah.
a good
Well,
one.
I'm a big Messi fan, so
Oh,
it's
we are fine.
yeah.
We
And
are
yo
fine.
respondí un poquito. Yo respondí un poquito.
Un
Yo necesito
poquito.
practicar.
Bien,
No,
bien.
like no más personas habla español en los Estados Unidos, quien yo
Claro.
viva. Or yeah, vive, so yo no practicar. But
Bien. Un poco
yeah.
de inglés también está bien. De español, un poco, está
We'll
bien.
help each other.
Yes. I will start with the first question. What stage are you currently at in the takeover of Manchester 62?
Yeah, it's well, we made the official, announcement. This was about, I think it was January 6th. And so the process at that point was what they say, like done and dusted, which was good. And since then, honestly, we've been communicating a lot with, players because we're in the middle of the transfer window, which is really important. Muy importante. So, so talking to players and connecting with the right staff and building, the culture and also what was already there. Building on what was there. I mean, coming off of the Challenger Cup, one of the youngest, if not the youngest, team in the league. We have a 16-year-old who won the Golden Boot for the Challenger division, who I think is without question going to be the biggest star 5-10 years now, maybe in Gibraltar history. He has that potential. And then, of course, there was great talent. I mean, Alberto Livongo, we're looking to bring him back. Luke Coleman was an excellent talent. So, I mean, as somebody coming in already overwhelmingly honored by, like, the opportunity, I mean, here and, first division competing for Europe. I don't know if I could have found a better team, in regards to how you can, what you could build on. And the veteran leadership, Scott Valentine and Mark Edzis. I mean, there's quality in all of the places that are usually the most complex, the most difficult when you come in.
Yes.
I was very fortunate in this situation to have something to truly build on. So it's been exciting, and the people of Gibraltar have been incredible to me, and honestly, the other owners and the GFA and everyone has been just very, open-minded and respectful, and also just welcoming me. I mean, I'm a big fan of culture. My club over at City United represented 20 different countries. As I told you, we had an Argentinian player last season, but this year I think it was 24 different countries. So it wasn't that I was coming in as only American style, or American football owner. There was a sense of the culture here that I thought was just as impactful, and a league that I think we all know. There's a league that's going to take off on a lot of fronts. It's going to be the Gibraltar Football League. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. And you have stadium builds. You're in the middle of two massive leagues in Morocco and Spain, and you have European competition. So it's one of those areas that, yeah, I'm very fortunate to be in.
On what terms did you acquire the club, and if you can give me an opinion about the last season of Manchester 62, where the team, in my opinion, did very well.
Well, thank you for that, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, it was, the process was difficult. I mean, I think people know, for the third oldest club in Gibraltar, I wasn't the first owner in being head of the M62 group and majority share, holder, and I'm the chairman. So I do the votes. There's no board we have to deal with in that regard. So to have that sense of freedom was important, but then it was finding the right team. And of course, as Manchester 62 is, has been a sleeping giant for some years, and once was one of the great teams, before Lincoln's long run and so on and so forth. There was a process of earning that level of respect and trust. and that takes a lot longer. It was a long process. Anybody close to the situation knows it was long, but I was probably the first of, I'm assuming, many, potential investors, some of them with bigger resumes and things of that nature. But when you deal with the purchase of a supporters-owned club, as in anywhere in the world, you're never going to convince them by just saying, I'm coming in and dropping in all of this, money, and we want to be Real Madrid tomorrow. I mean, there's so many factors that they look at. There's a sense of honor and respect of the history, but also, is this the right person who's going to take over? As the former director would put, our baby. We're handing you our baby, so this is a process.
Yes.
And I earned every, I think, step forward, and in proving myself to them through what was I think almost a 6-month process or something like that, maybe 7. And they raised the bar. They did not make it easy as they should have. That didn't mean they made it difficult. They made it as they should. The sports club, for the fans, etc. They needed to make this hard. That I had to earn. When I say earn, I had to earn the trust. And it was a great honor. But it was something I wasn't willing to give up, because if you know a little bit about my background, it's I'm a healthcare kid. I've been working in senior living with, and memory care and things like that most of my life. When I did the films, in my film career, it was about the cultures of coexistence. They didn't really pick a global conglomerate. I'm not that guy. So if I come in, like with City United, I'm going to expand the awareness, of the club, but I want to provide the culture and, with the culture of winning. I actually had meetings with players. I've been saying this quite consistently. This will be the first time I say it here for you guys, though. But I said, listen, in Gibraltar, there's a commitment for clubs to obviously want to win the league, win the Rock Cup, get to Europe. And my philosophy is, and that's a great philosophy to have, it's a great goal to have, but my philosophy moving forward is, how do we as a club find a way to build a culture to win in Europe? And that's where the bar needs, because when you raise the bar at that level, then the steps and the failures and successes that you have on the way to get there in the long run, you develop and you learn and you build upon those. And then once you achieve that goal, I mean, it's all uphill from there. So, and it's less of a surprise. It's like me going through the ownership of the club. And I mean, in Manchester 62, I mean, talking football, right? I mentioned it earlier. You have Alberto Labongo, who led the Challenger Cup in assists, and I think at Europa Point, I saw him at Europa Point prior to him coming over in the transfer window from Manchester 62, and he was fantastic. Europa Point had struggled, but it's very hard, as we know in football, for a player. It's not like basketball, where in basketball you can be a great player on a bad team. It's hard to be a great player in football on a bad team. It's very hard, and to have success. And so when they got Alberto, I knew that was a big thing. So the goal of bringing him back is important for us. Having the leadership like Valentin, I mean, that was incredible. And the way they did it with Mark Edzis and Kieran Garcia, David Wilson, has built a pretty strong track record, to say the least. And he's a player's manager, and that's clear. And they look up to him and they respect him. And then you have the emergence of the young players. Carl de Torres played 6 senior matches, just turned 17. It's incredible when you look at down the line of the under 23s, under 16s, under 14s, all winning not a Challenger Cup, but the league, consistently. I think most of them have won every single game, except maybe, I think under 23 might have lost one or something of that nature, or drew one. But you're looking at a high profile youth academy and development system where a lot of the players were going off, at the end, because they weren't getting long-term agreements, things like that, because that wasn't necessarily the philosophy. And there's nothing wrong with that at the time. But now, that was one of the big decisions of me getting here too, was how can we establish the players that we've worked with, as an organization since they were 10, 8, 9, not see them head off to Lincoln or Europa, but maybe stick around for a while, and then of course putting the right pieces around. I mean, there was stuff that we both know, success or not, there was still things that could be improved, and that was without breaking up the core, of what got them there. So.
Okay, well, we got 10 minutes on Zoom. If the time is over, we start in a new. Yes.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. About the full 90 occipital lobe protection helmet that you talked with me through email, what is it? What can we?
Yeah.
How do you present it?
Yeah. It's been quite fascinating actually because, with City United people, it was a Division 14. And, so I would say this has been already done. Full 90's been around for 20 years. And what I find fascinating, and I give you credit even for your question, the press, it's no one's really laughing. It can be confused at first when they hear the word helmets and things like that. But we both know it's a padded headband. It's a designed padded headband like a shin, etc. Does not look cumbersome. It probably weighs less than a pound. It's not something that reflects what it's called. You know what I mean? The headgear and things of that nature. It does in all the right ways, but the perception is that we're going to send them out, with football helmets or American football helmets, things of that nature, and that's not the case at all. Actually, it was really interesting. An under 12 player, when I met with the families, the player asked me. He said, "Well, isn't that the way it's set up and the ridges? Isn't that going to make the ball go right or left or not? You won't be able to control it." It's a brilliant question, toughest question I've got, to be honest with you. And at the same time, it was great to be able to answer it because I said, well, that if the Adidas Predator shoe, the one with the teeth, the fangs. I know you do, but I asked the young man. I said, "Do you know that?" And he goes, "Yes." I was like, "Now, do you think that those teeth and fangs, what does it? Do you think that the ball goes right or left, or what does it actually do?" And he said, "That helps with the grip, the grip on the ball, the control." So and I said, "Well, that's what the headgear does." I said, you can't manipulate it, but at the level, say an Adidas Predator, but it's without question a much better way to head the ball and be able to control it without having to deal with sweat or the different variations of your skull or head. All boots are boots, right? So this kind of evens the playing field, which is fantastic. I mean, I've yet to see aggressive opposition, at least from the media. I give a lot of respect to that and from Hall of Famers like John Newsom, Barry Smith. We're not hearing anybody coming out and going, "This is ridiculous." And I give you, the media, and I give everyone who interviewed a significant amount of credit because I know that you guys are doing the research prior to the interview, and it's getting people to do the research. I can't, in good conscience, having assessed tough patients in my time in healthcare and patients, who are in early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's, to assess them into senior living, to build friendships and relationships and watch them go through what they went through, to imagine that a player that was playing for me went through something like that and I had anything to do with it, that would be horrific because I've buried a lot of friends based on this disease and I've cared for a lot of them. So I could imagine a player, having to suffer that, and it was because I didn't try to do the right thing. I mean, in life, that's what it's about. So if you do the right thing, maybe a few people laugh, or a few people think it's I don't want to say crazy because, like I said, it's amazing because it sounds fantastical, right? And yet,
Yes.
it's getting everyone to look at it and see how not fantastical it is. I mean, I just wanted to get to a point where it's like a shin guard and we move on. I mean, really, I say that this is a way to save the game. Headgear across the world, we're seeing, or heading the ball across the world, we're seeing more and more regulations. Gibraltar has regulations for it now, and had one, I think, implemented last year. The UK is 12 and under. The US is 12 and under. What happens? I mean, you saw with American football and tackling, and that was just a matter of a few inches. What if you completely remove heading from the game? I mean, just because, we didn't want to wear a headband, we're fighting for tradition and not modernization. Modernization is giving us the opportunity, for this to get better and for us to know that it exists. But we're trying to save the tradition of the game because in 10, 15 years, studies keep going out. We're all going to be chesting the ball or hitting it off our shoulders. You're going to wait till you see your first yellow card. You know what I mean? When someone heads the ball. It's I don't want to do that to the football fan. I don't want to do that to my players, but I want to make the effort to give them an opportunity. You know what I mean? To be a little bit safer, and even from a playing perspective. I mean, honestly, when you head the ball, everyone knows who plays this game. It takes a little bit off. You know, even if you had it perfectly, there's still that little bit, right? There's a little moment of, yeah, that stung, especially in the professional league. But it actually affects fitness and stuff too. It can. Over time, it can. And tell me a center back after 20, heading the ball out 15, 20 times a game, it's the third match of the week. You really telling me he's going to run like, and he's in the right mental state that he was at the beginning of the week? Probably not. Even if it's just a little bit. Sometimes pain in itself is a distraction that takes us away from being the best that we can be.
Well, Michael, how has the helmets been used at Pittsburgh City United FC?
Yeah, well, you can't step on the field without wearing one. It's been a mandate from the beginning, but that was different because it's for City United FC. Not saying that I don't want that to be different. I'd love to have that with Manchester 62. And whether the mandate's approved or not, I think the conversation, needs to keep happening. So I'm having those conversations with the players, and they're a lot more receptive now that we're learning more, which is great. But at City United, it was a new franchise. It was my franchise, and founding it, it was important that that we stood for something. Alzheimer's Association is on the front of our jerseys, so there was no way we were stepping out and misrepresenting it in that way. In practice, we would utilize the headgear when we were heading the ball for like heading drills and things of that nature. But when we didn't need to head the ball or running drills, things like that, we didn't need the headgear. Definitely on occasion, a few players would show up without headgear and so on and so forth. So they would hear it for me to say, hey, listen, this is what we represent. But I don't want to hold that accountable or make the players sound like they were anything but the reason why all of this happened. It was not easy. When I ended up having to be the head coach when Barry Smith, from the Scottish, if you know anything about what happened, the whole story, because it was a big story. But when Barry Smith decided to come over, Scottish Premiership manager, Hall of Famer for Dundee, incredible player. But I was honored, and we were really excited. And then a travel ban hit, and that was the story that led to Barry not being able to make it, and me having to become chairman, director of football, and CEO and founder, which was fine. I was comfortable with that many hats. It is what it is. Then I had to be head coach. That was an experience. But I got to work with the players and let them know what they're fighting for. That's why I said I've seen this firsthand, and we won a lot of games. We had a very successful season, and it helped me understand how important it was. Like, what was the effect? Manchester 62 is not going to be just about the headgear. But I told the players, we could win a Champions League, it won't save a single life. But if you represent something and you go out there, imagine the family or the kid might think it's cool and say, you know what, I'm going to wear that. Or the family who lost someone they loved or is losing someone that they love to that disease. And to see a team, a first division team, going out there competing potentially in Europe, maybe in the Europa Group Conference or Europa Group, or who knows, maybe a Champions League one day. To see that representation and to know that there's an entire organization and there's players that are committing themselves. That's something that can save lives, and make a few lives that are very difficult, and people who are suffering maybe just suffer a little bit less because they know they're not alone, and there's people willing to fight for them. So that's important, and I don't think any of that that won't be what defines Manchester 62. The reality is people are now seeing it. Manchester United, could you imagine a football club that was founded by Manchester United fans 60 years ago? That's the stories now, and the millions of people that over in the UK with the BBC radio interviews and the ones that are coming up and things like that. But it's starting to blow up because we're doing the right thing. But now people are starting to see something that is really exciting, and that is there's a first division club that was named after one of the great clubs in the world, and that there is a chance that one day we might be going toe-to-toe against them in Europe. And that is an amazing thing. I mean, if I was a fan, as a Manchester United fan, we all know UK fans. We're all all of us are kid fans. I mean, the only players are the ones that wear the kit all the time. I'm a kit head. That's what they call it. I love it. I love everyone has a second favorite team or a third favorite team. We have the team that we root for, the team who we are. Well, there's a really good argument that Manchester 62 should be. I mean, it should be the Manchester United fans' second favorite team because it's them. I mean, Matt Busby confirmed it. He wrote the letter and confirmed it. Sir Alex Ferguson came down and worked with, honored the Manchester United Supporters Club. I spoke with Clive Mobley, the founder. I spoke with Victor Villegas, who, was a cup winner, a legend. I saw him last night. And this year is the 60th anniversary. So, yeah, it's incredible. And by the way, not one of them has questioned the headgear or what we're trying to do. They're happy to hear, BBC Radio 5 saying 7-time league champion, Manchester 62. And they're happy that the world is starting to see what's actually been there for 60 years. And that is a great club, a great foundation.
Have you been able to get in touch with the players and coach of your new team?
All the time. Yeah. There's a few we're bringing over. We have a WhatsApp. I've had to take a step back because being the former manager and whatnot, our COO has been handling the operations there, but it wasn't fair to, in my opinion, to Dante, Nicholas, who, if I were to step on toes, because I was a former head coach and so on and so forth, players can always go and call me and connect with me, but I had to. It was very hard because we're talking about like a family, and at the same time, they were aware in the process moving on that I had to come, here. This is the next step. A few of the players will be joining us, and we'll make those announcements in the next couple of weeks. Boy, there's some incredible players we had last season, and one this season they'll be joining us, and that will help fill, certain aspects that I think that fit well with the team here. Right mindset, not just the right talent. They have to have right mindset, and so that was something that was really great. But yeah, no, Dante, it was his turn to take the reins. He made the choice in difficult circumstances. I know, City United didn't have the success they had last season. There was a lot of injuries and a lot of things of that nature. But they still represent something, quite special, and I'm proud of them. It doesn't matter. There's no comparison. It is what it is. I didn't expect us to win the way we won last season. I didn't, but in some areas we improved, and in other areas, we got unlucky. And Dante did a great job of keeping the message. So.
Well, and about that, about Manchester 62, the last one, Michael, what are your expectations for this season?
The same that I said at the beginning. Bringing Manchester 62 back to prominence on the world stage is imperative to me. And that is not always predicated on just results, but we play from this season on to win in Europe. And whatever we learn on the way, whatever we, in our successes and in our failures, that's the objective every season. And that's the culture of this club, is going to be how do we win in Europe and how do we get there. That's it. Every year it's the same thing. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. I really do.
Thanks you, and best regards for this season with Manchester.
Thank you. Hold me accountable. So win or loss, at least you know what we're playing for. So.
Okay.
All right, my friend.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
All right, you too. All right, de nada.
All right.